Hello, and welcome to Viva La Action, the podcast where we're talking all things action movies, the good, the bad, and the underrated. My name is Santi, and with me as always is my co-host, Sleepy the Dwarf.
What's up? Yeah, it's butt crack o'clock here. That's not...
Your name's Grayson.
It is. It's very early.
It is very early. We were once... Yep,
you got it.
Never mind.
Well, that's it, folks. We'll see ya.
How you doing?
I'm doing alright. I'm just chilling, vibing, grilling it.
Oh, what are you grilling?
Shrimps on the bob. Just offended all of our Australian listeners.
No, that's okay. We didn't have any.
Well, there you go. Well, now we're not going to have any.
Now we're not going to have any.
Yeah.
Like, I'm tanning off. I got a koala to... Fuck.
We're not saying Australians fuck koalas.
No, not all of them. Okay.
Great start.
It's a good start.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I watched a really bad movie this week.
Oh, yeah, me too.
And I watched it more than once.
Why?
In fact, I watched it twice.
Why?
In fact, I watched it, I think, 2.5 times.
Why?
We'll talk about it. But
Oh, boy.
this is a movie podcast where
Sure is.
Each week we review a different action film. Sometimes they're good. Sometimes they're underrated. And sometimes they're really bad.
Just the worst.
And it's maybe the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, same. And I've seen movie 43.
Yes. And this is somehow worse.
Yeah. Yeah, this is worse than the... What was it? I Lady, where it has a fan in the coochie, and then people were fucking it, and so they had to move the coochie fans somewhere else. It's a real movie, folks.
Yep.
Look it up. Actually, don't look it up.
No. That is not what we're talking about this week.
God, no.
We are, in fact, talking about the 2007 action thriller film, Mexican-American, written, directed, produced, and starring one Damian Chapa. As always, we're going to go through the film's plot, its themes, its production.
If there are any.
If there is anything to talk about. But before we get started, what did you think of it?
It was so bad.
Yeah, it's the worst.
It was like we were saying, that might have been the worst movie I have ever seen in my life.
Well, you haven't seen his other films.
And I'm planning to keep it
Yeah,
that
let's
way.
keep it that way.
It was horrible. It was horrendous.
It's
I spent the last half of that movie mouth agape because what they were saying and doing was just so shocking that I was speechless.
So we talk about, like, occasionally we like to do a bad movie. And last time we talked about Lone Wolf MacLeod, which was a movie that I had seen before. And so we were like, let's just watch that. It'll be like, or whatever. And so we had watched a few good movies in a row, and we were like, let's watch another bad one.
Yeah.
And how did you find this movie?
I think I just Googled bad action movies, and there was like a list of like 100 of them, and I just started scrolling.
Yeah.
And there's a few that like we were kind of tossing around, and then I saw this movie, Mexican-American. I was like, oh, that looks pretty fucking bad.
Yeah.
And so I clicked on it, I was like looking into it, and then we watched the trailer, and good God, it was horrendous.
The trailer is bafflingly paced, and it has the weirdest, like, vibe to it I've ever seen in a trailer. And it has, like, weird music that like would make you think it's like a porno.
Yeah, pretty much. And we were actually supposed to do Man of Tai Chi this week.
Yes.
But you texted me going, I watched Mexican-American. We have to talk about this right fucking now. I was like, let's fucking do it.
Yep.
And then I watched it and felt dirty afterwards.
So, let's talk about it.
Right.
Because I guarantee no one else has ever watched it all the way through. Nope. So let me give you a little synopsis. This is the synopsis I found on IMDb. IMDb states, a washed-up Mexican-American prizefighter is just starting to get back on his feet when his daughter is kidnapped while investigating a political splinter group in Mexico. The police and the State Department are little help, so he must take justice into his own hands and rescue her from the clutches of a bizarre, racist cult.
Yeah, that's one word for it.
Weirdly, I feel like of every movie we've watched, that's the only synopsis that actually kind of sums up what the movie's about.
No, that I think kind of nails it on the head.
Go ahead.
Man, I don't even know where to fucking start.
I prefaced, because I watched it, because normally what happens is, like, we finish an episode about a week before it comes out, right? So then, like, I have this week where I'm usually doing, like, kind of, not research, but, like, I'll watch some stuff to try and kind of find, like, what I want to watch next. And I was like, we had just talked about it, and I was like, I don't know, I'll just turn it on and watch it, right? And just see what happens. And I was so, like, fascinated that I just watched the whole thing in, like, one sitting. And I text you, and I was like, there's a twist in this movie that you will not see coming.
Yeah, and I didn't.
Because it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
There's Nazis in this movie.
Yeah, like hardcore.
Hardcore, like, straight up Nazis. And it's so bizarre. There's nothing to indicate to you that there'd be Nazis in this movie.
Right, because that thing that you read said just racist cult. So you're thinking, like, okay, KKK maybe, or just like some far right extremist pieces of shit, right? No, these are like literally people who like claim to be descended from fucking like legit Nazis.
Yep.
And like they are saying some of the most just vile things. Also, there's that one scene where he's like saying, I don't even know. I swear to God, I heard the word whore more times in that movie, in that span of time, than I have in my entire life.
Hold on. So one of the things, like, because unless you watch the movie, you cannot understand how absolutely baffling, like, the dialogue is.
Oh, it's so bad.
Because, and I suspect, I don't know this for sure, but I suspect they didn't actually have, like, a script.
Oh, God.
Like, it says written by Damian, whatever. Yeah. And we'll talk about him, because he's a fascinating and bizarre man. But I have a feeling they just rocked up to wherever, whatever they were shooting at that day, and he's all, okay, you're going to say something vaguely racist. I'm going to vaguely respond and curse a lot. Yeah. But I have the quote here. So it begins, right? Because Damian Chapa, his name's Tony. He's going to remind you about 1,000...
Tony.
Hey, Tony!
He's not Italian.
He's Tony the Güero Aztec warrior, which he tells you about 50 times.
Yeah.
And he's been knocked out and kidnapped, right, for some reason.
Yeah.
And he's laying on the floor of what is just somebody's house.
Okay. Yeah. Right. They shot this. I think just in like an abandoned strip mall.
Yeah.
Right. That
100%.
was like, it was like that location and then some guy's house.
Yeah.
Right. Those were the two locations.
I would not be surprised if that's the director's house. Like, that's just where he lives.
Yeah. And there was the scene where, like, he's in America and then it switches to him being in Mexico. And I swear to God, it was the same goddamn parking lot. They shot the American scene and then they went, great, move the cameras over there and we're in Mexico now.
And they tell you you're in Mexico because every car in Mexico has a Mexican flag on it.
Yeah, it was. Anyway,
it's the okay. Anyway,
of the house.
So he's on the floor, and the villain, whose name I can't remember, it doesn't matter. It's Diego. His name's Diego. And he wakes up, right? And he's like dazed. And he looks up and the villain is standing over him. So he's like, all you see is like his chin up, right? And then it cuts and there's a picture of, oh my God. My brain just fucking exploded. What's her name? It's a picture of oh my God.
Her name means the fucked one.
Yes.
The whore. It's not La Virgen, it's motherfucking La Malinche, right?
Yes, but the artist is
Jason Derulo.
Frida Kahlo.
Oh,
it's a picture. So there's a paint, one of Frida Kahlo's paintings, and I swear to God, I wrote this down word for word. He says she was a whore, you know, and then he says a bunch of other stuff, and he goes 100% whore and 100% Mexican. He repeats that a couple of times, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm taking notes this whole time, and I just wrote, this scene is so fucking long. It's just him
saying the word whore.
Saying the word, he's a whore, she's a whore, your mom was a whore, your dad's a whore.
My dad's a whore.
So, okay, anyway, so this movie, like I said, it's written, directed, and produced by Damian Chapa.
Yeah.
Most people know Damian Chapa because he is kind of he was the lead in this movie from the 90s called Blood In, Blood Out, which is it's a Chicano gangster film, which to be fair, is like very well acclaimed. Like there's this huge fan base for that movie, right?
Right.
And he kind of took some of that fame and he did a couple other things. He was in Under Siege, which is a pretty famous action film starring my other favorite actor, Steven Seagal. And then he was also in Street Fighter. He plays Ken. So he's had some big roles.
Yeah.
But for some reason, and about like the mid 90s, he decided he wanted to like be a writer, director, actor. So he started like making his own movies.
That was a mistake, my guy.
It's a huge mistake. And just prior to him making like this movie, he made one with like actual actors in it. So it had like Gary Busey and a couple others. And he's made a few that had like legit like Hollywood actors in it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to speculate too much on this man's life, but I get the feeling he's the kind of guy who like is maybe, I don't know how to put this in a way that's not really mean. I think he's an idiot.
Yeah. No, I can see it.
And I think maybe he's rubbed people the wrong way, like in the industry.
Yeah.
Because if you read, this is somehow, I've done more research for this episode than any of our episodes thus far. Like, I was tracking down articles from like the mid 90s.
Holy fuck.
And like, I even at one point was going to email, I didn't end up doing it, but I was going to email like the Texas Film Board to see if I could get a hold of like the budget for this movie. But so I was reading these like articles, like interviews with him, and he has all these like reasons why he thinks he's like not like a big actor anymore. And he said something like, well, I made this movie about like the IRA and so I got blacklisted from Hollywood. But I'm like, I don't know if that's the reason. I think it's just that you're not a good director.
Yeah.
And you're choosing to spend all your time making these horrible movies.
Yeah.
And like, look, I'm so like,
yeah.
No. It's so bizarre. And the thing is, right, like, if this guy was like a nothing actor, right? If he was just like a nobody who had just popped up and made this movie, I wouldn't be so willing to make fun of it because I'd be like, you know what? He tried, right? Yeah. But here's the thing. I'm going to tell you two things. Okay. One, not only has he like been like he's not just acted before. He's been on like a major Hollywood set. Right? Yeah. And like seeing how movie making happens.
It's supposed to happen.
It's supposed to happen. And I don't understand how you could see that and then make the most bizarre like choices. Like there's shots that aren't in focus. Like there's shots that are just like of like half of someone's face.
Yeah.
Like
the lighting. This, honest to God, felt like a high schooler made.
Yes.
It felt like some dipshit high schooler made this for some just some stupid class that he has to take for credits.
Right.
Right. It is the trash. Like, the lighting is trashy. It looks like it was shot on a fucking like Motorola flip phone.
Yes. Yes.
So bad.
And that's the thing, is the other thing is, right, like when things are shot on a budget, right, I'm like, I can forgive certain things, right?
Yes.
Like I can forgive bad lighting, I can forgive bad whatever. But this wasn't shot for nothing, right? Like on IMDb, and I don't know where they got this information, it states that the budget was $200,000. Okay, right?
Right.
In 2007. That's about the equivalent of $300,000 today, right?
Okay, that's not that bad.
That's not that bad. You could do a lot with that, right? Because let me give you some budgets for some very highly acclaimed movies, right?
Okay.
Like the Blair Witch Project, which is like this, like, you know, changed horror movies forever, was shot for $16,000.
No fucking way.
No shit.
Oh my God.
El Mariachi, which is this like, it made millions of dollars. It spawned all was made for $7,000, right? And this guy had $200,000 and made something that looks like it was made by like a freshman in college. Like, because
there's no way that he didn't just like take some of that money.
Right. Well, not only that, I think some of it was his money, but I think and here's my theory, right? I'm going to get into this early because I could not finish any of his other movies. But I watched about half of this movie called Vatos Locos, it's bizarre in its own right.
Yeah.
And then I watched part of Latin Hitman, which again, bizarre. And I think one of two things is happening with this guy, right? Like, I think one possibility is that he is so, like, out of his mind that, like, he genuinely thinks what he's making are good movies.
Yeah.
And he doesn't see, because there is no improvement.
No, oh God,
none.
I don't imagine there is.
The quality stays the same.
Wow.
And so I think either he genuinely believes like he's making good movies that just no one is watching, or this is all just a big tax write-off, right? Like, he's just like, if I show that I spent $200,000 on a movie and I didn't make a cent, I can write that off on my taxes, right?
Yeah.
And I think he's just pumping these out as just maintaining like what wealth he still has.
Yeah.
Because there's no way that you could look at this and just be like, I did it.
This is it. This is my big break. This is what's gonna get me into Hollywood, baby. It's like, you already were there.
Yeah.
You don't need to be doing this. Please stop.
And I think too, part of it is that like, I think because some of the films that he's like, okay, because credit where credit's due, he is prolific. He has directed 40 films.
Oh my God.
Over 40. And he has 7 in production right now.
Right now. Hey, buddy. Hey, know when to quit.
No, but here's the thing too, right? I think part of the reason why he doesn't get like big roles anymore is because he's crazy. Because some of the movies that he's got in production right now have titles like Illuminati Uncovered and like unveiling the secrets behind Hollywood's whatever. And like, one of his first movies was this documentary about the connection between aliens and the Illuminati and the JFK assassination.
Oh, what?
So I get the feeling he's one of those like right-wing like crazy people.
Yeah.
And that's probably why he doesn't get big roles anymore.
Which is hilarious when you look at this movie, because like the Nazis are the bad guys And so you'd think like that if he is a right wing, the Nazis would be, you know, the good guys.
No.
Oh boy.
So let's talk about the movie, because
do we have to?
I mean, we don't have to, but I think it is so bizarre.
It's very strange, and I actually do want to talk about it.
So let's talk about the intro, right? Because I think the intro is actually, that shot is okay.
Yes.
Because it's like, it's kind of in shadow. There's like the vignette lighting, you know, it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
The dialogue
is atrocious.
It's
so bad.
And baffling.
Yeah.
Because it starts off with him as a kid.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm a boxer. And it's like, are you? You're 12.
You can't even, your balls haven't dropped yet.
Right. And he's kind of giving us this like speech.
Yeah.
About like, so I've got like, I've created this like list, right? And it's like, I feel like Chapa in his films, right? He has some common themes, right?
Okay, all right.
One of them is a bad childhood, right?
Okay.
Because every single one of the movies that I watched, he has the same backstory where his dad's a criminal and his mom's an alcoholic. Every single one, right? So in this movie, exactly the same, right? He's like, oh, my dad's in prison. My mom is an alcoholic and abandoned me, and I'm really angry, right?
Yeah.
And then it cuts to mid-40s Damian Chapa, and he's like, he's just telling us all of his backstory.
Yeah.
While he's like
punching,
shadow boxing. Yeah. Here's some of my favorite quotes.
Okay. Lay it on me.
When he's a kid, he's talking about his dad, and he says he was in prison. That's where he died. That's it.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is not true, or is true, because he also says later that his dad died, like, after he got in a fight with him. Do you remember that later in the movie?
Oh, yeah. Wait a minute. Hold up. Oh, boy. Wow, that's, you gotta hire somebody to check your continuity there, my guy.
Yep.
Because, that's fucked.
Yeah. My other favorite quote was, there's one of the shots that like transitions and there's like a woman sitting on a couch.
Oh yeah.
And the dialogue says, "That's my wife, Joanna."
Okay.
That's the first and last we see of Joanna.
Yeah.
Because it then cuts, like it fades over and there's some pictures, and he tells us that Joanna died of cancer.
Yeah.
Right. And we know that because there's some pictures with what are clearly printed out, like, or it's like frames with like clearly like printer paper, like photos. And one of them, again, I watched this movie 2.5 times. One of them is like not all the way in the frame. Like the picture is like falling out.
Wow. Fucking forgot to put it in portrait.
Yeah. Just forgot he's like, set it up, and he's like, yep, good enough.
Good enough, print it out on my Canon.
There's multiple parts in this movie. I'm not going to go through the whole movie like this. I just think the intro is particularly interesting.
Yeah.
And then he's like, my wife died, and I fell into whatever. And he's like, then I became an alcoholic, right? And we know this because we see a picture of him, I swear to God, staring down the barrel of the camera and drinking something, and it goes for way too long.
Oh yeah, no, he just keeps going, and like, because he was out of a beer bottle, I think, but I think it was clear enough that you could tell that it was not beer.
Yeah, it's just like water. Yeah.
And he was just like, he kept going, and I think it'd be funny if he had just like forgotten they were filming. He's like, oh man, I'm kind of thirsty. And he just kept going. He's, oh wait, hold up, we're filming. We gotta cut or whatever. Oh god.
And then you know that he stops drinking because he tells you, one day I stopped. Right? Which is good, whatever. And then that's pretty much the intro. Oh, we learn he has an adopted daughter.
Yes.
Oh, because he tells us,
oh yeah,
my wife loved me very much, but no children came. Right? It's a weird detail in your little backstory. I don't know why it has to be his adopted daughter, but okay.
Right, sure enough.
And that's pretty much like he gives us like his whole backstory.
Yeah, I think they had to explain the adoption thing because she is the whitest person I've ever fucking
That's
seen.
true, yeah.
And so when you look at them side by side, you're like, how did that happen?
Yeah, and then there's like it doesn't. After the intro, we don't know, like,
what?
He does not explain what he's doing now,
Nope.
like, why he's no longer a boxer.
Yeah.
Because he's always like, I was a boxer, I was a title fighter, whatever.
Yeah, and now I'm nothing.
Now I'm nothing for some reason. Because his intro scene is bizarre. Like,
Yeah.
he's, like, driving... And he, like, parks his car, and then he gets out, right?
Yeah.
For some reason, he has a punching bag in his front yard. He walks past...
I forgot about this. This is the funniest thing. He gets out of his truck, he, like, takes a few hits, and then he walks inside. And I was like, hey, yo, what?
Yeah, he's just, like...
Yeah.
Bah, 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 and then he's, like, back to straight up and just walks back into the house.
Also, I think the outside house and the inside house were two different places.
Probably.
Because the inside house looked a lot smaller than the outside house.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what, you couldn't... Were you just shooting outside somebody's
Right.
house? And they're like, yeah, you can't shoot inside my house, so you got to find somewhere else to do that. Yeah, that punching bag scene, fucking... I was...
That was amazing. It was phenomenal. And then he, like, walks into his house and he, like, sits down,
Yeah.
picks up his phone, and calls what I assume is his boss. He
Yeah.
works somewhere. We don't know where.
Yeah.
And he tells him, like, oh, I couldn't come in after lunch. And he says, quote, I'm going to come in there next week. I'm going to make a sale, man.
Yep.
Yep. A sale of what? It doesn't matter. Also, why next week? He can't just come in tomorrow?
Yeah, like what's going on? Oh my god.
Why we needed that scene, I don't know.
no
Because
clue.
the next scene is just him in bed.
Yeah.
And he's smoking a so okay, here's another thing. He's smoking a cigarette, right, while he's asleep, presumably. And then the rest of the movie, he's not smoking the rest of the movie. Why is he smoking in that scene? I think
Oh my god.
I think here's my theory for this, right? I think his character was intended to be a smoker.
Yeah.
But either one, he didn't like the fake cigarettes that they use.
Yeah.
Or two, he realized you can't smoke indoors. Because a lot of this is like,
inside, yeah.
So he just switches to a toothpick later.
Yeah.
And he has a toothpick in his mouth, like, a lot of the movie.
Yeah.
But I just love that little detail where he's in bed with a unlit cigarette in his mouth.
Yeah, because he gets a call and it like bolts, and I laughed out loud. I was like, what the fuck? He sits upright, cigarette like dead. Dangling out of his fucking mouth, and he answers it, and it's his daughter or whatever, and he never lights it. It is fresh out the pack.
Yeah, it disappears after that. I don't know where it goes, but
it's a falling Fault in Our Stars situation.
yes, yeah, he's got to like keep the death close.
Yeah,
but
he puts it in his mouth, but he never gives it the
That's
whatever.
right.
It's stupid.
Oh my god.
Oh, it's
And
the
then
funniest thing ever.
So he answers the phone because his daughter, which like, I don't know what time it's supposed to be, but so he answers the phone and he says, "What are you up so early, baby?"
Yeah,
Which again,
porno.
but yeah. And then we get his daughter's backstory.
Yeah.
When they talk like two people who have never talked in real life.
Yeah.
Where she's like, I'm at school, Dad, or whatever. And he's like, oh, you okay? And she's like, I'm studying journalism. And he's like, that's not a good thing to do. It's dangerous down in Mexico. And then she just happens to get kidnapped while he's on the phone with her.
Like, first of all, I don't even know, man.
I don't know.
I
do love so here's another thing, right? I love this. So like
okay.
She's getting kidnapped while he's on the phone and
Yeah.
he's screaming, "Who's that? Who's there? What are you doing?" Right? Whatever.
Yeah.
And then she the phone drops and whatever.
Yeah.
Later on in the movie, he tells somebody, well, I heard somebody speaking German while she was on the whatever.
Yeah.
We don't hear that.
Oh, God,
no one is speaking German in that
nobody
scene.
says anything.
How are we supposed to know that?
Yeah.
It doesn't. Anyway.
It doesn't make any fucking sense.
And I think the part of the reason is because there's one actress in this movie
Yeah.
who can speak some German.
Yeah.
So she's the only one who does it.
Also, I don't speak Spanish.
No.
But the Spanish in this movie was atrocious.
It's really bad. And
horrible.
part of it is there are people in this who clearly speak Spanish.
Yes.
And there are people who clearly do not speak Spanish.
Yeah. So they had to find like some weird middle
Yeah.
ground.
So then we get what is maybe the most baffling series of scenes in the whole movie where for some reason I watched this movie twice.
Yeah.
They don't explain why he needs $10,000.
Oh yeah.
He just needs to he lives in Texas, right?
Yeah.
Very like Mexico is hours away. Why do you need $10,000 to go to Mexico? You're not flying there.
Yeah.
You showed up in the same truck that you're driving in the U.S. Why does he need $10,000?
But he didn't buy anything.
No.
He you would assume okay, ransom maybe, but there's no
ransom. Yeah.
Right, there's no ransom. Okay, so is he buying guns? He doesn't. There's no guns. Well, first of all, there are guns.
There are
very
guns.
Large guns, and I think that's where most of the budget went.
No, I think most of the budget went to the tiny helicopter.
Yeah, you're right. That was unreal. Because I kind of had to go back looking for a ransom conversation. No, he just
needs $10,000.
It was probably like an unrelated thing.
Yeah,
my daughter got kidnapped, but I got real quick pick up 10 G's unrelated to everything that's going on.
Because once he gets the 10 G's, which we never see, by the way, it just cuts and he's in Mexico. So why did he need it?
Wow.
But what it is like it's this excuse. So like he meets this guy in a parking lot who for some reason gives him the address to this like boxing promoter who might also be a gangster. We don't know why.
Also, that guy that he meets in that parking lot, I feel was just like in like they were just like scouting or whatever, and they're like, oh hey, that looks good.
Yeah.
And they just like set up, shot it real quick, and then left.
I think it's just the other side of the same two buildings they use. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the American side of that parking
lot. Yeah. So then he goes to this man's apartment, which it's in the U.S. because there's a poster on the wall that says America, which is very good.
Right, we wouldn't know otherwise.
And as all gangsters are doing, they're sitting in the corner, all together, not watching TV they're just standing there or sitting there for some reason.
Yep, with women.
One who is like 70 years old, and one who's like 40. Which, like, I don't know, whatever. There's so many moments where you're like, I clearly wanted, like, let's get some supermodels in this scene. And they're like, I don't have any. I have my grandma.
Oh my god. Oh.
Here comes Nan. Put her in like a tube top. And the boxing promoter's like, and he reminds us again that he was a boxer, right?
Yes.
And he's all talking to the promoter, and the promoter's like, oh, you used to be a prize fighter, man. And he's all, this is my new prize fighter, right? And it cuts to the largest man alive. And he's like,
so big.
He's so big. And they're like, I'm going to get him a shot at the heavyweight title. And I'm like,
he is the heavyweight title.
Heavyweight title, right? And he tells him he'll give him $10,000 if he like spars with his friend.
It makes him sweat.
Yeah, and for some reason they're not like, oh, let's cut to like a boxing gym where they can whatever. They're like, let's just do it here, fully clothed, right? And so they start having like a little punch up.
How did they get that guy in that shirt? They had to have sewn him in.
I guess so. Yeah.
There's no way they got that thing over.
There's
huge muscles.
Oh my god. Oh, he has so I have a couple of favorite lines, and one of them comes in, or two of them are in this scene, and he says to the big man, he says, "You must have a good dentist, man. Look at those pearly whites."
I don't even think we.
I don't know why. Teeth. No, you never see his teeth. He's like mouth closed the whole time. And then as they're about to start the fight, Tony, who's Damian Chapa's character, he asks the other guy, "Dirty or clean?" And the guy says, "Filthy dirty."
Again, reinforcing this may be a porno.
It might have been. It might have started that way. Then they're having like their little fight, right? Which it's not really boxing. No. It's like Tony's like throwing some jabs, and the other guy's just like throwing him. There is what is genuinely a good stunt where the other guy throws Damian Chapa, and I think he straight up just smacks into that table and falls, and it looks really painful. I think he was like, "Put this on my stunt reel." Yeah.
The action in this movie, because we are an action podcast, the action in this movie is terrible.
It's amazing.
Like, it's like I thought the action in Lone Wolf McQuade was bad. Like, it is so, like you see them, like, quote unquote punch. You see the fist just miss.
Just fly past their face. Yeah.
You see it miss. And there's, with the guns too, the guns were horribly edited. There was like a scene where Tony is like holding a gun up to some guy's head, and he fires, but he pushes the gun, and you see the barrel, like go past the guy's head,
past his head,
and then he shoots, and then the guy goes, and falls back. The people dying in this movie
it's so beautiful.
They lay down.
They do lay down.
Brace themselves, and then they just like lay down dead.
Just to get back to this scene, there's a part, like, okay, here's the thing, right? Like, I swear to God, at no point in this movie did they ever go, "We should take a second take of that," right? Let's do another one to get that right? Because they just leave some bizarre things in. Like, during their little, like, fight, right? There's a scene where he throws him, right? And he goes over the table. When he throws him, you see the woman sitting down, and when it cuts back, she's standing up on the other side of the room. And it's like
continuity.
It's like, did you want another take of that where she's not in frame? I just
or maybe she's in the same place, or you see her like get up and move out of the way. Or no, she just teleports. Great. Awesome.
Yep, great.
Let's keep that one.
That's Nana's magical powers.
God damn.
And then somehow Tony gets the upper. Oh, he has my other favorite line in that, where he says, "I didn't hear any bell," right?
Oh,
which is pretty good.
That was all right.
And then they fight a little bit. Tony somehow gets a trash can that I swear wasn't there before, and he hits him with it. But like, we don't really see him get hit. Like, you see him like kind of like dunk him with it. And then as he's walking out, he says, "You need another dentist, man." Which is,
that doesn't make any
good
sense.
One-liner. Why does he need a new dentist? I thought his other one was pretty good.
If it's pretty good, just keep this the trash can thing, like, he hits him so slow. And I'm like, did you guys just were not able to afford, like, if somebody got injured, taking them to get seen? He just, like, lays it on top of him and then drops it. And he's like, gotcha. Fucking got him.
Get a new dentist, dumbass. Then speaking to what you were talking about, I wrote a note that just says, "Ah, yes, Mexico, right down the street."
Yep. When they cut to that. Okay. Also, because they cut to that, and he's talking with the police. They don't look like.
No.
They're just like people.
Yeah.
They're like.
I think Damian Chapa assumes that, like, in Mexico, policemen just wear cowboy hats, and that's like how you know they're a policeman.
It's the cowboy
But
hat.
it's like they wear, uniforms. Like, they're regular police officers, but whatever.
Also, they had the biggest guns.
Oh, yeah. For some reason, one of them just has a sniper rifle, but he's standing, like, 2 feet away from the door.
Yep.
So we meet the sheriff, right?
Yeah.
The sheriff is played by... he's one of the only actors that wrote their name down. Oh, my God. What is his name? Oh, Robert Pulido, right?
Okay.
Now, the only reason I bring him up is because he's also a ranchera singer. Okay. So he's famous in Texas for doing some like pretty notable songs, and like he's pretty well respected figure, right? Clearly not an actor, not his fault, right? But he delivers maybe my favorite performance in the whole movie, because I think he's the only actor who is like, it's not his fault that this movie is bad, and it's not his fault that he's not a good actor, but he is giving it his all. Like, every scene, he is delivering his line. Like, you can see the gears ticking in his head where he's trying to remember his lines. And he delivers a line when he first meets Tony where he says, Americans, they come looking for booze, drugs, sex, and some for education. And then he also, so then they have this bizarre conversation that it doesn't even matter.
It doesn't.
But when they go into his daughter's apartment, there's this moment where he forgot his line, clearly because he goes, "This is her apartment."
Yeah.
And then he says, "We know this is her apartment because we found this." And then he hands him something and he goes, "That's a passport."
And it didn't even look like a... Well, first of all, there was no close-up of it. It was just like something in a bag.
Yeah. And then when they so they like talk about whatever in the apartment, and then he like gives it back to one of the other officers, and the guy's like, "We're gonna take this back to the lab," and he shoves it in what's just like a metal toolbox. And then he walks away, and it's like clearly not all the way closed because there's stuff sticking out of it.
Yes, because that's proper police procedure. Yeah. Just put evidence in whatever fucking container you got.
I just love that he says, "We know this is her apartment because we found this. That's a passport."
Yeah, that was amazing. Also, was that the same?
I think it's the same house. But it's like the big house, just a different room that they haven't shown before.
Yeah, because I was like, man, this doesn't look like where she was kidnapped at all.
Nope. Oh, also, there's this thing, right? Like, early, when we first see her get kidnapped, one of the kidnappers is like, "Where's that laptop, you fucking bitch?" Or whatever, right? We cut back to the apartment. Tony finds it, because it's just, like, on the floor.
Yeah.
It's like... And also, they make it out like it's going to be this big thing. It never comes up again.
No. They find the laptop. They, like, are holding it, and they're, like, doing, like, bullshit typing or whatever. Yeah. And they go, that bitch deleted it. He shuts it and just, like, throws it.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yep.
And they just continue to kidnap her.
Yeah. It's, this movie broke my brain.
It broke me.
So, after this scene, we return to another hallmark of a Damian Chapa film, right? Now, auteur theory, right, which I don't know if you've ever heard of auteur theory. I guess this is a great time to bring it up in this movie podcast. So, auteur theory, right?
Okay.
It's this movie theory that states that the director is the author of the film, right? Okay. So, if you watch a bunch of, like, Hitchcock films, right?
Yeah.
You're getting an insight into Alfred Hitchcock, right? Because he has these themes that pop up, these stylistic choices, right?
Yeah.
Now, if we're to go by auteur theory,
yes,
right, and assume that the director is the author of the film,
yes,
well, let me tell you, Damian Chapa is an auteur, right? Because not only does he have the same themes throughout all of his films, he has the exact same themes throughout all of his films, and I swear to God, they're the exact same lines, but one of the common themes among his films is alcoholism.
Yeah.
And you know he's a recovering alcoholic because he tells you about 50 times. Almost as many times as he reminds you that he's a boxer.
Yeah.
And we get this scene, right, where it cuts for some reason. Tony leaves the apartment and he's like, I'm going to go to a restaurant, right?
Yeah.
Which is just like a family restaurant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
You know it's in Mexico because there's Mexican flags.
Everywhere.
Which, you know, you can't fly those if you're not in Mexico, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
There's also a mariachi band playing.
Yes. And mariachi bands only exist in Mexico.
Right, exactly. And he walks in, and they seat him at what I swear to God is like a 10-person table.
Yeah, it's for like a 10 top, but he's the only
one standing there. And they're like, can I get you something to drink? And he's all, margarita double or whatever, right? He orders some drink. And they bring him what I swear to God is the worst looking margarita I've ever seen in my life.
It looked bad. It looked neon green.
It's neon green. There's no ice in it.
Nope.
There's no salt on the rim.
Nope. If you've never had a margarita and somebody brings you out a neon green drink, don't drink it.
No, it looks lukewarm.
Yeah.
There's like no frost on the glass or anything.
The margaritas are supposed to be one of two things. Blended or chilled, right? And it is supposed to have either a really pale green look to it, or like just white and clear, sort of murky because you have lime juice and other things in there, right?
Right.
And yes, salt on the rim. If you do sugar, you're a pussy. That's what a margarita is supposed to look like. If they bring you anything else, you send it back. Because if it's neon green, it's probably toxic.
Exactly.
And they probably poured it out of a jug.
Yeah, I think it was just like Listerine glass.
Yeah, because he never drinks it.
No, because we get this scene, right, where he's like, you know, I'm debating whether or not I should drink, right? And this is this debate that he's having with himself the whole film, which, by the way, concludes with him just drinking.
Just chugging tequila.
Okay, right.
Also, I swear this movie was sponsored by tequila. Because that's all that we see.
That's all we see. Yeah, he's like, I'll have a double shot of tequila. Oh, I'll have a double shot of tequila margarita.
Also, because before the margarita, he does go to a bar and orders the double shot of tequila. That was not a double shot.
No.
That had to have been at least 2.5, maybe 3.
There's also a great scene that we skipped over, or a great part in that scene that we skipped over, where there's the shot of him walking towards the bar, and then it cuts to inside the bar, and there's a girl sitting there, and she's all, Dad, wasn't that Tony the Guerrero Aztec warrior, that man you were always telling me about? He was the best boxer ever. And the dad's like, yep.
And that's it. Like, nobody was excited that he was there.
No. Well, there's the bartender who's like, oh, Tony, I haven't seen you in a while. And he's like, it's been a year. Exactly. And she's like, what can I get you? And he's like, double shot of tequila. And then he like holds it. And then I guess he just decides not to drink it because then it cuts away.
He leaves.
Yeah, he just leaves. Whatever.
Also, that tequila looked off. It didn't look healthy.
Who knows what it was? Yeah. I'm also not unconvinced that wasn't just a different corner of that restaurant that we saw.
Yes.
Yeah.
It had to be like a different shot of the same place.
I'm sure it was.
It had to have been.
But while we're in the restaurant, we also we meet Tony's sponsor, right? And there's another great line, or there's a few. So he's like talking to her. And I just want to say, I think the sponsor may have been the only professional actor in the movie.
Yes.
Because she actually like sells her lines.
Yeah.
You know, like
she did
effortlessly, she's just like pretty good. Like she'd never, you know.
Yeah.
And she stands out because I think she's the only like professional actor.
Yeah.
So it makes everyone else look awful.
Yeah.
And she's only in 2 scenes. So, you know.
Maybe we should have put her in more. Or gave her a different role.
But she's his sponsor.
Yeah.
And she's like, you know, we cut to her, right? And at first we're like, who the hell is this lady, right? And she's like with her kid, and she says to him, count these. And the kid goes, 1, 2, 3, 4. And she goes, okay, time for bed. Okay. And And the kid just like runs off screen.
Yeah.
And then she's like having a conversation with Tony, right? He reminds us again that he's a boxer.
Yeah.
She tells us he was a boxer and that he's been sober for a year, which again, we learned earlier. And then she's like, they're talking about whatever. And she's like, you need to be at your peak. You know, remember who you were. You were a star athlete. And she's like, just remember, like, there's a higher power. And he goes, higher power, Jesus. Like, we had to be reminded what the higher power was.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's that on that.
That's that on that. We cut again.
Yep.
And he's gone all Mission Impossible.
Yes.
He's like sneaking through the apartment, right?
Yep.
And he's wearing his exact same clothes, but he's got on these bright white gloves.
Yep.
And some sunglasses, even though it's presumably 10 p.m. And he's like looking for evidence, and he's like putting stuff in the bag, right? Like whatever the cops didn't collect for some reason.
Because why would they?
Why would they collect evidence? And do their job?
Yeah. Fucking A-cab motherfucker.
After that, we get our first shot of the villain, right?
Oh boy.
Diego.
Yeah.
Who he's played by a man who looks astoundingly like Martin Sheen. I don't know if you've ever seen Martin Sheen before.
Let me look him up.
Look him up, because I swear he looks just like him.
Yep. That is.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's like low budget Nazi Martin Sheen.
Yep.
And he's like talking about flowers or something when we first meet him.
I don't know.
I really don't remember the conversation.
Nope.
A lot of the like talking scenes
that
don't star Damian Chapa are so boring that like I don't remember anything that goes on in them.
Yeah. Also, they're weirdly paced.
They're weirdly shot.
Yeah.
Like there's no camera movement in this movie. The camera is always locked down at a weird angle. Like, and not like creatively weird. I just mean like slightly too far away.
Yeah.
And there's no microphones in this movie. Like, I feel like they should have spent less money on the tiny helicopter and more money on like a shotgun mic that could pick up dialogue. Because there's moments where people are like, they're like back here and they're talking like this, like at a regular volume, and you can't hear what they're saying.
There's a scene. I think there's one mic, and it was on Chapa. Because he put something.
The lav mic, yeah, I forgot that part.
He put something in his shirt, and it just.
You hear.
I was like, you don't want to do another take?
Nope.
You didn't want to cut that out? Maybe edit it? Oh, all right.
There's so many moments that are just like, how did you not think of like to change that or like? Anyway, I'm gonna stop going through the plot beat by beat, but there's just like the villain, he's racist, right? He's a Nazi because his dad was a Nazi. And his mom was a whore, like he likes to tell us. What that means, I don't know. And I think apparently he was supposed to be a former drug dealer because he's got like this woman with him who's like, who only exists in the film so they can make a couple of fat jokes. Great.
Fantastic.
Wonderful. This movie.
Fat phobia.
So the thing is too, right? Like, this movie's unintentionally funny. Like, there's moments where it's just, like, so bizarre. But, like, none of the actual jokes are funny.
Oh, God, no.
Like, there's a joke about, like, again, like, somebody calls that woman a fat cow in German. Like, haha, hilarious. Right. There's a moment where Damian Chapa says a slur that's supposed to be funny. It's not funny.
It's horrible. Racist.
There's a couple other like little things that are, I think, supposed to be jokes. Oh, there's my favorite line in the whole movie. I've said a billion favorite lines, but he says, and I think this is what sold us on this movie. Yeah. There's a scene where him and the cop are in a park for some reason.
Sure.
He said the reason is because he says that police stations make him claustrophobic. Sure. And the guys, this is after he's presumably beaten up a couple of guys, and the sheriff asks him, do you know anything about those pieces of meat in the hospital? And he says, I don't like meat. I like chicken.
Oh yeah.
Because he puts his sunglasses on.
Yeah.
And then he walks away real slow.
I like What does that mean?
I don't like meat. I like chicken. Meat's not chicken. Oh no, chicken's not meat. Oh no, he's got it in my head.
Oh god.
What
is that supposed to mean?
I don't know. He doesn't like meat. He likes chicken. And the guy says, hold on, what does he say? Oh no, I didn't write it. But he says something like, now's not enough time to be sarcastic. He's like, I don't think that was sarcasm.
No.
I think that was just a bad joke.
Yeah.
But there's another character in this movie who's pretty prominent. We meet a lady whose name I can't remember. I think her name's Maria.
Sure.
She runs the hotel.
Yeah.
Right. Played bafflingly.
Terribly.
No hate on the actress, but I don't know what she was doing. She's like I don't know. So there's the scene, right, where like, okay, there's one of my favorite lines where Tony is like, he gets in this car chase, right, on one of the two roads that they use, back roads that they use.
Yeah.
And he's done, right, and he's got a bloody eyebrow, right, which he's had the whole movie.
Yeah, it never heals.
It never heals. It changes a few times, like it's in a few different spots, but it's always the same.
Yeah.
And he walks in and he's like, I need a room, right? And she's like, oh, sorry, we're all filled up. And he's like, but the sign says vacancy. And she's like, I didn't change the sign, right?
Yeah.
And he says this line, right? And he says it exactly like this. He goes, I need a room, give me a room, please give me a room. And I'm like, I don't think he wrote that. I think he just was like riffing there. I need a room, please give me a room, please. So, and she's like, nah, you look like trouble, right? Yeah. She's like, you got a bloody lip. He doesn't.
Fuck you.
Also, there's fake blood dripping down his face the whole scene.
Whole movie.
And it's
he
just
needs to see a doctor.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. He then forgets his phone for some reason.
Yeah.
Even though we get this close-up shot of the phone and she looks at the phone.
Yeah.
And then he just leaves, but she never is like, hey, you forgot your phone, right?
Phone, yeah.
We know he forgot his phone because he's driving, and then it cuts inexplicably. He's in a parking lot, like a different parking lot. And
it's across the street.
Damian Chapa, off camera, because he's clearly not the one driving, goes, oh, shit, I forgot my phone. And then he, like, spins around very slowly. And he drives back to the hotel.
Yeah.
Goes in a different entrance for some reason, where the hotel keeper is like trying to like get these two drunk guys to leave, and she's like, "Oh, guys, it's last call or whatever." It's like 2 PM when he's like going back, unless he took 6 hours to get there for some reason. But and so they're like giving her a hard time, right? And like one of them is doing nothing. For some reason. I don't know why he's there.
Yeah.
And the other one is like, you know, trying to like whatever, like hassle her, and then he's like got her on the ground, right? And Damian Chapa kicks in the door, right?
Yeah.
Sort of. The door flies open. We don't see him kick it.
Right.
And then he's got used
his mind.
Yeah, used his mind. Yeah. The other guy is presumably knocked back so hard by the force of his kick that it presents no problem.
Right.
And then he's got a gun on the other guy, right?
Oh, he has a gun now.
Yeah, he has a gun now. Where I think he got it off one of the guys he beat up.
Oh, no. He got it off of the guy in the parking lot in America.
Oh, yeah. Did he?
Is that right?
No, he gets it. Okay, because we missed a scene.
Oh,
so I'm trying not to go through it chronologically, but it's like
we have to give context.
You have to give context because it makes no fucking sense. Like, there's this scene where. Wait, how does he get there?
I don't know.
I don't remember. He like leaves. Oh, he's leaving. Okay, I think he leaves his daughter's apartment.
Yeah.
And he's like walking to his car, and he gets forced into a different car that's in Mexico because it has a Mexican flag on it.
Yes.
And the guys are like, you know, like he's like, tell me where you're going or whatever. And one of them hits him, like you said, like completely misses his face. Like literally just puts the gun in front of his face.
Yeah.
And they're telling him like, oh, you need to shut up, man, whatever. And he says, oh my God. Oh, he asks him, like, well, where are you taking me? And he says, quote, we're going to the highway, man.
Great.
Because they're presumably going to go beat him up.
Yeah, on the highway.
He then, one of the guys, this is one of my favorite things, he answers the phone, but it's a flip phone that he doesn't flip open.
Yeah.
Did you notice that? He just holds it to his head.
Yep.
And then he hangs up without pushing any buttons.
Yeah. The other guy hung up.
Yeah, the other guy hung up. Damian Chapa then gets the gun away from one of the guys in the most bizarre series of shots I've ever seen. Like, he throws a punch, and then it, like, extreme close-ups on his face, cuts again to one of the guys, like, falling over, and then extreme cuts to his face again. And it's like... And then somehow he's got two guns. One is on each of the guys.
Yeah.
They pull over. He kicks out all three of them, and he's like, I don't ever want to see you again. And then he, like, drives away.
Yeah.
There's no indication that those guys would end up in the hospital. Apparently they are.
Yeah.
From fright, I assume.
They shit themselves.
They shit themselves, and they were real embarrassed.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's how we end up back at the hotel. This all happens within the course of, like, half an hour, I assume. Yeah, so then he ended up with a gun. He's back at the thing. He saves Maria from being assaulted.
Yeah.
He tells a man, that knife won't stand a chance against this 9mm. Great. He delivers it with about as much care as we did just then. She then asks... Oh, he then kicks one of them out.
Yeah.
But he's, like, way too far away. And he has, like, no conviction in the kick.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the way you close, like, the refrigerator door.
Yes.
Kind of like...
Yeah.
And then she says, why'd you beat the hell out of him? Did he?
Is that what that was? He beat the hell out of him? Oh, boy.
Tony then tells the most baffling story about his dad, him beating the hell out of his dad.
Yeah.
And then he says, he died in his sleep the next day. And I wrote, in prison?
So you went to the prison, beat
up your dad.
Because they let you in. They let you in. They let you beat him up,
right.
And then he died in his sleep.
He confesses to 2 murders in this movie.
Yeah.
2 of them. Because there's a scene later where they're, like, in the worst car chase of all time. And he's like, trying to console the hotel lady. Because she just had to shoot a man.
Yeah.
And he's like, don't worry about it. There's no evidence that it was you. There was, because the cops find him later. And they're like, your evidence was all over the place. And he's like, don't worry about it. And then he tells the story of knifing a man in an alley, and getting away with it. And then it's like framed, like it's supposed to be this like heroic thing he did. He's like, I took a knife, his knife.
I stabbed him.
And he just confesses to murdering a man, but he's like, but don't worry, I got away with it. And you're supposed to be like, yeah, he did.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah. Tony the Huero Aztec warrior. They then have sex. Sort of.
It's implied.
It's implied. You don't see it. No. Thank God.
Right. I was a little worried that we were going to see it.
Yeah.
And I was afraid of how that was going to have been done.
And I don't know why she would be attracted to him, because he's done nothing but bother her for like a day and a half.
Also, he's not very good looking.
He's not. Well, like, look, fine, whatever. I don't really. But he's like. Also, okay. We're supposed to believe, right, later on in the movie, there's the twist that she's actually working with the Nazis.
Yeah.
Right? And she's been used to, like, lure him. But if she'd been working with the Nazis the whole time, wouldn't she just let him get shot?
Yeah.
Like, because I assume those were also Nazi guys.
Yeah.
Even though there's no, like, I don't. Oh, so he gets that woman killed.
Oh, yeah.
He literally, like, 2 seconds after, he's like, don't worry, nothing bad's gonna happen to you. She gets shot.
She dies.
There's also a great death in that scene, where somebody gets shot, looks at the floor to make sure that they can fall and then falls.
Yeah.
Which is pretty wonderful.
It's horrible.
Yeah, she betrays him for some reason, but don't worry. He murders her later, which is good.
Yeah.
I don't know. This movie, it's so weird.
It broke me.
You look broken.
Yeah.
You look sad. You look like you'll never watch a good movie again.
I don't think I will. I'm also very hot.
It is pretty warm in here. You want to open that door? You can if you want.
I'm gonna do that.
Do you need some water? We can pause.
Yeah. Okay.
Feeling good?
Yeah.
We're back.
Feeling better.
All right.
I'm not dizzy.
This movie can kill.
Yeah.
Just remember that, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. It's pretty gnarly.
Think before you show your kids Mexican American.
Yeah.
I have no idea where we were. I don't think it matters.
No. We were kind of in the middle. I want to talk about the Nazis because the whole last 30 minutes of that movie. I can't even say anything because I don't know what to say. It was so. Because you texted me after you watched this.
Yes.
Saying that there is a twist that you will never see coming.
Yes.
I had I didn't. I had no idea what it could be. I had no idea that it was going to be Nazis.
Yep.
And I had no idea that it was going to be that bad.
Yep.
Because we're introduced to the villain, and he doesn't come out right away saying that he's a Nazi.
I think he does.
Okay.
But there's a line where he says Adolf Hitler would be proud, but he kind of mumbles it, so you don't really hear what he says. He's all, would be proud. And you're like, huh?
Yeah, well, and I think I kind of heard him say that, and I was like, that's a weird thing to say. Why would you say that? Because I thought that, he wasn't... I thought he was just saying that, he would be proud because... well... Now looking back on it, yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
But to be fair, the dialogue is so bizarre.
Oh, yeah, it's horrible.
That, I would not have put it past this movie for that to just be a thing someone would say.
Yeah, right.
Adolf Hitler would be proud. Anyway, give me a room, please give me a room.
Yeah. Well, and then, doesn't he also say at some point that he was a great man?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was a great man.
He was a great man. I was like, bro. So, okay, thinking about it, right? If Chapa is some right-wing nut job, even though the Nazis were the bad guys, this could have been an excuse to just say nice things about Hitler.
But I get the feeling that he's not necessarily like a Nazi right winger, right? I feel like he's one of those guys who's just kind of he's kind of stupid.
Yeah.
I think I'm sorry, that's so mean, but I think he's one of those guys who thinks the world is run by lizard people or something. Not necessarily I don't think he's one of those guys who's it's the Jews or whatever. I think he's just
lizards.
It's lizards and God is gonna save us or whatever.
Yeah.
Because a lot of his movies are faith based.
Yeah.
He's done a few and all of his characters are Christian, right? Even though in this movie he's I'm not a choir boy.
Yeah.
Later he's it's a higher power, Jesus.
Yeah.
So he feels to me everybody has an uncle who lives in some small town, and he just thinks the world is run by robot pedophiles or whatever. To me he seems like that kind of guy.
Yeah.
Where he's just he just believes anything that anyone tells him.
Yeah.
Because he says some bizarre batshit things, and he must be really nice, because I can't imagine any other reason why you'd agree to be in this movie.
Yeah.
Unless you're getting paid a bunch. And I
like
guarantee most people in this movie did not get paid.
Yeah.
Because
God, no.
they don't act like people who got paid.
No, they're those... there's those two women with the Nazi guy. I forget their names. They act like they're not even in front of a camera. They're like, it's like as if they're like, I don't even know how to describe it. They're acting in such a way that they like, it seems like they think that like maybe I don't know.
One of them, so to me it feels like Damian Chapa like categorizes women in like two categories.
Yeah.
You're either hot or you're a bitch.
There's no in between.
There's no in between, right? Because like there's like the one lady, like I said, and all they do is like make fun of her for being fat, and she gets machine gunned because she's a bitch, right?
Yes.
I'm not saying that she's a bitch. I'm just saying the movie is written that way, right? Yeah. And then, or you're hot, right? Because there's that other lady who's with her all the time, who's never wearing a regular piece of clothing. She like in the final battle, she's wearing this like leather like dominatrix outfit for some reason. Like, why did she put that on? Like, who knows?
To be sexy.
Yeah, and in every other scene, she's just wearing like a skimpy thing, which is like fine. To me, it reads more like the director made her wear that.
Yes.
Like, because, I don't know. It's just, it's a bizarre choice. And it is. Let's talk about the final battle, because I think it's wonderful.
It's, calling it a battle.
That's very generous.
It is. It's very generous, because it's more of just, like, a happening. It's just a thing that, like, kind of happens.
Yeah.
Some dudes get shot. And that's about it. Real quick before we do the final fight.
Yeah.
The whole like Nazi scene.
Right.
Where he where he's like talking to a bunch of people.
Does his Hitler thing? Yeah.
I find it so funny that Tony was just like in the other room. They never bring him out to do anything. He's just like in the other room.
Yep.
This Nazi guy's spouting his bullshit.
Yeah.
And Tony's in the other room going, "I'll kill you, bitch."
He's just haggling him from the other end.
From the fucking wing. And then there's like some just big guy menacingly standing over him like, shut up.
Yeah. Oh, don't do that.
Yeah.
What I love about that scene too, right? It's supposed to be this, there's a couple of weird choices in it. Like, it's supposed to be this big, villain speech scene. Mm-hmm. It is so long. Like, it's like a 5-minute scene. He says the same thing about 50 times about the master race or whatever. But what I love is the way they've set it up, right? Because they clearly had, like, been given permission to shoot in this, like, church or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And he has a giant Nazi flag, right?
Yes.
Cool. But then he's got a projection of his own face.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that, because I think Hitler did that.
Yes.
I think that's a thing that Hitler did.
Sure.
And so, I think he was just trying to... I think he wanted to be Hitler.
Yeah, but which is fine, like, great villain, whatever.
Yeah.
But what I think is funny about that is, like, it's big, but it's not that big. No. Like, it looks like a school projector set up that's just been pulled back far enough. Because it's kind of blurry.
Yeah.
But then the other thing I love is that when you cut to the audience... It's not full. Like, there's empty seats. Like,
there's
it's clear.
Maybe 30 people.
Yeah, like, there's like 30 people, and a lot of them are children.
Yeah, that was the thing that fucked me up. I was like, what the fuck? You got these kids doing this shit?
But not only that, like, he's got this thing about he's like, we're going to take over whatever, and he's had some vague plan. It doesn't matter. But it's like, you're going to do it with these 30 people, most of whom are children.
Like, ignoring the fact that you're probably going to, like, what you're doing is horrible. Like, just the fact that you're involving children in this, that's just a war crime.
Yeah.
Like, that's... You can get the death penalty for that.
Yeah, but, like, what... you're gonna because I think his vague plan is to like take over Mexico and then like close the border for some reason. Fine, whatever.
Sure.
But like you're gonna take over Mexico with like one hot lady with a gun, one guy who got taken out with a shovel, about 12 kids, and an old man. Like, that's your plan.
That's it? You're gonna take over all of Mexico with that.
Yeah. All right.
Good luck,
Good
buddy.
luck.
Good
They're also all
Lord.
wearing red jumpsuits for some reason.
That I was confused. I was like, why are we wearing these?
I think it's because the Nazi flag is red, and so that was they're like, what do the Nazis wear? The flag is red. Red. What do we got? We got red jumpsuits?
Do we just have red shirts? All right.
Is that one a jumpsuit? No, that one's just a t-shirt? It's fine.
All right. That'll work. Nobody's got a match. It's got to be red. I don't care. We'd paint that guy's chest red.
Yeah. Speaking of, there's one of the lead, like henchman guy, he's wearing like the red shirt and he's got like the hat.
Uh-huh.
He's wearing a patch that has the SS on it.
Oh, yeah.
But it's clearly just been drawn on with like magic marker because it's like not even.
Yeah.
And it's like fading throughout the movie, which I thought was wonderful.
That's terrible.
I like how that guy got taken out because Tony throws one small rock at him.
I didn't even see anything fly out of his hand.
They're making him dig his own grave, which
he's not even digging. He's just kind of like putting the shovel in the dirt,
right,
and then like putting it down, and then like he puts it back. He's not like doing anything. There's it's like there's small ditch.
Yeah, like an inch of dirt.
Yeah, and then he like reaches down, which the henchman guy is just like watching him.
Yeah.
Like he's not being subtle about like what his intentions are.
Yeah.
And then he just picks up a little bit of dirt and
throws it at him.
And the dude overreacts.
Yeah, he's like,
and then he comes at him with a shovel and just beats
he closes the distance unhumanly fast. Like they're like at least 20 feet away and Choppa's there in like a second.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
It's terrible.
He drops the slur in that scene, which is great.
He does. Yeah. It's a C word.
Yeah, good. We've heard that too much on the show already.
We really have.
And then it cuts inexplicably back to the hotel. And there's this line that for the life of me, I don't know what it means because it cuts, right? And we get a voiceover for like half a second because Choppa and the woman, their backs are turned. And so I think there's a scene that was cut out where he like infiltrated the bathroom, but they don't have the scene in there because he says the line, what is it? That was so nice of you to give me a bath, little girl. What does that mean? Where he's not wet? Why? She's in a towel, but like, did he just creep into the bathroom and force her to bathe him? I don't know what that line means.
I think I just blocked it out because it just didn't make any sense.
Yeah, there's also they're like talking, right? Because there's one good shot in that scene where she's standing by the window. And she's kind of like draped into some shadow. That looked kind of nice. Yeah. It's one of two good shots in the movie. But then she does this thing, right, where she picks up a pack of cigarettes and she puts one in her mouth. And then she goes to put the cigarettes back on the counter and they fall.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Don't take a second take. Nope. Just use that one, I guess. That's fine.
That's perfect.
And there's even a little moment where she's like, oh.
Yeah. You can tell that... I think they just did one take of every scene.
Oh, yeah, every scene.
I don't think they... I think Choppa just wanted to get this done.
Just done. Get it out the door.
Yeah, and move on to the next thing. And so he's like, yep, one take, that's it. Whatever we get, we get. Mm-hmm. Right.
Because, so we should say, neither of us paid for this movie. We watched it for free on YouTube.
Yeah, it's free on YouTube.
If you're going to watch it, go watch it there. Yeah. Don't pay for it.
Please don't.
I almost did because... So when I watched it the first time, and then I was like... really curious. I was like, I wonder if there's like a director's commentary that I can listen to. Tried to find one, couldn't find one. So I was like, I'm going to order the DVD, right? And they had one left in stock on Amazon. So I ordered it. And then it was like, I had post-nut clarity.
Yeah.
I don't know. I had a moment of clarity where I was like, nah, and I canceled the order.
Yeah.
So like I didn't end up paying for it because fuck this dude. I'm not gonna pay for his dumb DVD. But like, it feels like he just did one take of every scene, edited it together barely, and then like sold it to like, you know, a Mexican TV channel or something that they could play once. Because the only way you can watch it legally is to buy the DVD or to pay for some subscription. It's like VIX or something, which I was like, I'm not paying for that. I'll just watch it for free on YouTube. Most of his movies are for free on YouTube, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not worth paying for, but
God, no.
It's, I just, so there's also a line in that scene where she says, because they're having their like little back and forth, and she's all, I'm not the worst person in the world, Tony, you know. You're a Nazi, so you're up there.
Yeah, you're of the worst people in history. Yeah, I think you're top. I'm gonna say top 3. You know, pushing top 2. So
there's also a moment where we were talking about this off camera, where off mic, where he shoots her because she gets a gun on him, but then he magically knew to take the magazine out of the gun. Great.
Yeah.
He's got superpowers. Good for him. And then he shoots her, and the muzzle flash comes out of the trigger.
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
It was like, what are you doing?
I don't know. This was edited by a monkey, I assume.
Just slamming its fucking, taking its feces, just rubbing it all over the fucking keyboard, and they went, that's actually pretty good.
I saw this review, right?
Yeah.
On Amazon. Because there's no critic reviews for this movie. I think every critic took one look at that awful poster and was like, nah.
No. I looked it up on Rotten Tomatoes. Zero
critical reviews.
But for some reason, it has a 43% audience.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which that doesn't make any sense.
4 out of 10 people are dumb, I guess.
Yep.
But there was a review I saw where it was like, this lady was like, hey, don't be mean. Like, at least they made something. But she still gave it 2 stars out of 5.
Nice.
She was like, don't be mean. 2 out of 5.
A. You know?
Oh my god. It's so stupid.
But did they make something?
Barely. It is a movie, technically.
By definition. Yes. It's a movie.
Oh my god. It's so bad.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, final fight.
Right.
They're just running around.
They are just running around. And the geography is so confusing because he starts on the left and then he's on the right, moving left, and then he moves left again. So I don't know where he started, but he opens by shooting a man, right? With what is kind of a silenced gun.
Yeah.
Sort of. But he shoots him, and then one of the other henchmen is like, don't worry, it's just a coyote. And I wrote, it's just a coyote with a gun?
Yes, because coyotes are famously known for making that sound.
Yeah, barking sounds like gunshots.
Also, did you notice, because there's a moment where like he's inside the mansion, and he has like a machine gun and a pistol, and he's holding the pistol, and it's empty.
It is empty, yeah.
And you can see
because the slide is back,
all the way, but he's still holding it and like using it like it's still loaded. I was like, homie. Oh, and then because he's like running around with that, and then the very next scene, he has not a single same gun that we saw in the last scene. It's a completely different machine gun, and the pistol's gone.
Yeah, the pistol's gone. He threw it away, I guess. I do love that there are so many moments where, like, because I don't know anything about guns, but I know enough about guns to know that, like, a semi-automatic pistol won't fire if there's not a round in the trigger.
Yeah.
Because it uses the force to, like, fire, right?
Yeah.
So, like, the stock is going to be pulled back, and you can't, like, fire it.
Yeah.
So there's so many moments where, like, they're shooting what is clearly not a loaded gun because it just goes kink.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, just get an airsoft gun.
Honestly.
It's cheap it will the fucking thing will fly back. Like, it'll do all the things you want.
Yes.
And it's cheap.
Yeah.
There's also a moment where they're clearly using a fake gun because it still has a little orange bit on the top.
Yep. And they just have like the biggest guns.
They do, yes.
Also, there was that one guy that was holding the gun, his elbow up like this.
All the way up, yeah.
I was like, homie, you can relax.
No.
You don't need to be up. You can, right? Like, just out here is fine.
He also is the one who shoots the guy initially.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they don't really let Chapa, like, have the final... Oh, also, we brought this up before, but, like... So one thing that's pretty common in movies, right, is the idea that, like, a character learns a lesson.
Yeah.
I think what Chapa learns in this movie is he should be drunk. Because the final battle, he says, I need to be who I was before. And then he takes this giant swig of vodka.
Yeah,
and
which,
I wrote,
again, is just water.
I wrote, I need to be who I was before, drunk.
Yeah, and...
Because he wins, so
he does. Well, and that bottle, too, was already, like, half empty.
Yeah, so he's been drinking and driving already, I guess.
Yep.
But, we were saying again off mic that he delivers the line.
The line.
I'll let you do the honors.
Yeah. So, okay, well, there's that fucked up editing scene.
Yeah.
Where it's like half and half of Chapa and Diego.
Uh-huh.
And
it's split down the middle for some reason.
Yeah, that was awful. I hated that.
I don't know why they did that.
That was terrible.
It was the one creative choice they made, and it was bad.
Yep. But then, there's the cops show up, and they're pointing guns at who? I don't know.
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. All cops are pointing all guns at everybody all at once.
It's my favorite movie.
Also, not pointing any guns at anybody. It's fascinating.
It is
really.
wonderful.
A real feat of quantum physics there.
Oh, yes.
And so, what did he say? We have ourselves a...
Yes, hold on, I wrote it down.
Oh, man.
He wrote... Well, I guess this is a real pinche Mexican standoff.
My roommate, when she heard that, like, because she was like cleaning or like getting ready for bed, she stopped and just hung her head in shame.
Yep.
And then just kind of like shook it. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you. It's like...
We have a real pinche Mexican standoff. I'm gonna be fucking biz, man. I love that guy's line delivery.
Yeah, it is so good. But then, so the cops are there. And then, I forget who says it. I think it was Diego says something about Mexicans.
Yeah.
And Tony goes, I'm not Mexican. And then the cop says something about Americans. And Tony says, I'm not an American. And then somebody says something else stupid. And then Tony goes, I'm Mexican American. And then shoots Diego. And Diego's death was uninspired.
It's very underwhelming. He kind of just into the pool.
Yeah. He gets shot. And this is this happens with everybody that dies in this movie or gets hit and goes down. They get hit and then they don't fall, right? Because they probably couldn't afford crash mats because they were spending too much money on a helicopter.
Tiny helicopter, yeah.
And so they have to kind of look and then ease themselves into the fall.
Yeah.
Because there were so many of just the goons that died that would kind of sit down, get themselves settled and then
Yeah.
Anyway, Diego dies in the pool, and then it cuts. Oh, then they go to arrest Tony, but it's the quickest scene because they start slapping on the handcuffs, and then the sheriff goes down, cuff him, you're good to go.
Yeah.
After he just said, you're going to jail.
Yeah, no.
No, actually, you're fine, you're good.
Yeah, he tells him, dang, hasn't that guy been through enough?
I know, because they were like, why'd you let him go? He's been through a lot. that's the reason he just like murdered a bunch of people. He's also confessed to other crimes.
2 other murders, yeah.
But yeah, just let him go. That's fine.
That's fine.
And then I honestly thought that Diego's body just was no longer in the pool because they're shooting originally from like the house out.
Yeah.
When Diego dies, but then they cut around from the pool, and so we can kind of see the pool and like everybody else.
Yeah.
And there's no body in the pool.
Nope.
But then something does float in to view, and it's clearly not that actor.
Yep.
It's just like
some guy,
some dummy.
Yeah.
Put in clothes.
Yeah.
That aren't even the same clothes that the guy was wearing. Yeah. So. And then there's another voiceover.
Yeah.
We see the little kid again.
Yeah. And he tells us to remember that if you got family, hold them close. And I got anger in me, and he control the anger. And I'm Mexican, and I'm American. I'm Damian Chapa. Thanks, Mexican American. There's a wonderful theme song at the end.
Yes.
It's called Aztec Warrior. I looked it up. I think it's on Spotify. I'm gonna put it at the end of the episode because I think it's great. But
excellent. Let's see how many streams it has.
Yeah, it's
terrible.
It's terrible.
It's one of the worst movies I think.
It's genuinely horrific.
Yeah.
I want to say it's so bad it's good, but I think that's too nice.
Yeah.
I think it's just bad. You don't have to watch it. I think our description of it is about as coherent as the actual film.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, if you do want to watch it, I'll say this. Here's one nice thing. It's very short.
Yes.
It's like an hour 20 or something. Yeah. Tiny. You could watch it in an afternoon.
Yeah.
Just get higher than a kite and watch it.
Or drunk, or make a... Well, don't make a drinking game out of it because you will die.
Yeah, and probably watch it with a friend. Don't watch it alone like I did twice.
Or like I did,
yeah.
Because it'll make you sad.
Yeah.
And not because it's a sad movie, but because it makes you...
It makes you hope no one ever makes another movie ever again.
Yes. Yeah, it makes you question the entire industry. And if what we're doing is actually good and beneficial for the betterment of humanity.
And it makes you wonder if humanity was a mistake.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we shouldn't all kill each other in a pinche Mexican standoff. Yeah. But that's the movie.
It is.
Do you have any final thoughts?
I think this should be scrubbed from all human history. And I would like somebody to come and alter my brain so that I never have to remember it ever again.
I agree. Let's get to everyone's favorite part of the show. Mm-hmm. What do you rate it out of 10? And you can say 0.
0.1.
Whoa! God damn.
Only because some of the lines were funny.
Yes, they were. They were kind of funny.
There were some good, funny lines.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Everything else, atrocious.
I took a knife. Took his knife.
Yeah.
0.1.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I was going to say 1.
Well.
1 out of 10.
1 out of 10? Yeah.
God awful. I have seen student films made better.
Yep.
I have seen high school student films made better.
We've made
better. Like, okay, Damien, if you're listening, and I know you're listening, because I can't imagine you have anything else to do right now besides edit your 2,000 films. Here's my advice for you, Damien, and this is serious advice for anyone who's making a movie. If you have a budget, like $200,000, here's some things you could do to make your movie better.
Yeah.
1, write a script.
Yes.
Hire a script writer. Yes. Don't write it yourself.
Nope.
Because you are an alien who has seen one movie before and you don't know how to write human dialogue.
Right. Also, you would be biased and you think that whatever you write is great.
And it's not. It's bad. Here's
terrible.
Your second tip. Hire a cinematographer who is going to shoot it on something better than a camcorder. Because this looked like a turd.
For the love of God. Also, as a lighting guy, hire a lighting guy. Please.
Once you have those two things, spend the rest of your money on like 3 good actors. Don't just hire some people in your town.
Yeah, don't put a flyer up saying looking for somebody to act in a movie.
If you do those 3 things, I promise your movie will be better. Don't buy a tiny helicopter. Don't commission a really bad outro song. Don't pay for real guns that you're not going to load. Don't use the same family restaurant shot from 5 different angles. And I think you'll find some success.
Oh, get some microphones.
Yes. Oh, for fucking God, buy some microphones.
Please.
These microphones that we're using right now were like $50.
All right, and they do just fine.
They're fine. They're not great.
Nope.
But they'd sound better than using the onboard mic on your Sony Handycam or whatever they shot this on.
They're using the fucking microphone on like an AirPod or whatever.
Yes, yeah. Held way too close to the face.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I got. 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
Atrocious. Bad.
So bad.
I've seen better acting in pornography.
Yes.
Genuinely.
Oh yeah. Yes. There's some really good acting out there. Porn.
But that's all I got. I'm tired.
I'm also tired.
We'll never do this again. We'll find something else bad to watch next time.
Yeah, that'll be better.
It'll be better. Slightly better.
Slightly better. That won't make us want to eat glass.
But if you're listening to this, and you want to listen next week, I was thinking, next week is our 10th episode, right?
Oh, shit.
We finally hit the Big 10.
Double digits,
Hell yeah.
baby.
So we're going to watch what I think is a 10 out of 10
Okay.
movie.
All right.
We're going to watch Man of Tai Chi,
Okay.
which is a Keanu Reeves directed martial arts action film. I love it. Mm-hmm. I think you'll love it.
I'm excited.
It's going to cleanse the palate.
Thank God.
We never have to return to Damian Chapa again. Get him out of your brain.
He's blacklisted from this podcast.
Yeah. But if you'd like to support this podcast, give us a review. Please give us a review.
Yeah. Like us, please like us.
Please like us. How many, if they were to give us a review,
Okay.
how many pinche Mexican standoffs out of 5 should they give us?
I mean, 5?
Okay.
5 would be, well, yeah, 5. 5.
Okay.
Because that's the most.
That's the most you can do.
Yeah, and I don't like pinche Mexican stand-ups. That was the worst.
It's bad. But yeah, so if you like this episode, or if you'd like to help support the show, get it out there in the world, give us a 5-star review.
Yeah, share it with your friends and family.
Share it with your friends and family. That's the best way to get the show out to new people.
Maybe your dog. Cat.
Maybe your dog, your
Lizard.
cat, your foreman on your construction site.
Yep. Priest.
Your priest. If you would like to suggest a film for us to watch, or if you'd like something you'd like to ask us or tell us, you can email us at vivalaaction@gmail.com. We are on social media, so actually, I have a little addendum that I want to add here.
Okay.
We are no longer on Twitter because Elon Musk is a fuckwit, and I don't feel like supporting his website anymore. So
Fair enough.
Plus, we only had like 5 followers anyway, so
Yeah,
whatever. So if you'd like to follow us on social media, you can follow us at Viva La Action on Instagram and Facebook. And we are also Viva La Action on TikTok.
And we have a YouTube.
We also have a YouTube. Yes, if you're listening on the YouTube, you already know. But we also have a YouTube channel where we upload all of our main episodes. If you want to listen to the bonus episodes, those are only on the podcast feed. Yes. If you want to find Grayson, you will find them
Crying in a corner,
and you'll find me in the boxing ring as Santi, the Güero Aztec warrior, fighting a Nazi Mexican.
Yep.
But just remember, we're not action. We're not Viva. We're Viva La Action. Goodbye.
Yep. Bye.
I'm tired.
I'm also tired.
Mexican American. That's right. Yeah, it's all about one thing, being strong to keep your head up amongst things. Some things never change, but I know one thing. I've been fighting my whole life for something. Too much alcohol drinking, I must say. I've been stressing a whole lot in some cases. I feel like giving up, but I'm an Aztec warrior till my last breath. That half white, half Mexican, one half step. 2 feet on my ground, I raise my 2 fists and jab left like I'm in a boxing ring. You ain't knocking me out at any round. You should throw in a towel, cause I done seen lots of things, so you can't stop me, cause I'm quick with my 2 hands. You wouldn't knock me out, you couldn't do it if you tried, cause I'm a warrior, I represent the Aztec pride. I'm a warrior, I'm a warrior, yeah. I'm a warrior, Aztec warrior. Damn right, I'm a warrior, I'm a warrior, I'm a warrior. What you think I